Hey guys, it's Courtney. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today to do another Wedding 101 video. Today we're going to talk about all things food and beverage. So that, if you're not in the industry, is your any kind of food that you're having and your bar. I think food and beverage is one of the things that people overlook the most, or they don't think through as much as they should. Because a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes that most brides obviously don't know about. And if you haven't seen anything else from this series from me, I am a certified wedding planner in the state of Michigan, and I am a venue coordinator for my job. So I have some inside scoop that I want to pass on to anyone who's interested. I do have a whole playlist of these videos that I will have linked below or up in the cards, and you can subscribe for more information because I've been trying to post one of these videos per month. I'm also engaged, but my ring is in the other room because I didn't put it on after I worked out this morning because I'm a monster. Okay, my biggest tip is that if you are going through a caterer or a venue, doesn't matter, do a food tasting. And obviously this is going to be different based on what venue you're at or what caterer. So some people will only let you try, will have you come like when there's another event and you can only try what that event has. Still do it, even if you're like, ew, I don't want that, I don't want those options, I want these options. Like, still go, because then you get a feel for like the caterer or the chef's style of food, and if it's something you like or if it's something you hate. I've had clients come and try food that they weren't thinking of getting. Like, they were like, oh, I don't like salmon, and then they tried like chef's maple mustard salmon, and they were like, oh my god, I have to have this in my wedding because it's amazing, you know, stuff like that. So always go, definitely try to go so you can pick out a menu. I tell this to all my brides. There's every venue in Michigan, I don't know about everywhere else, but Michigan has like a chicken marsala, and it's different at almost every place, somehow, some way. It's never the same. So you could think you're getting one thing and be like, yeah, ooh, chicken marsala, I want that. I love when my mom makes that. And then you show up at the wedding and it's completely different because you didn't try it. So try it. That's what I'm going for. Tastings are the best. Some places charge, some places don't. Most venues will be upfront, like, hey, it's $25 a person, but you can try whatever you want. Steak, fish, we don't care. You want it, we'll make it. So just ask, and you shall receive, pretty much. For food, let's keep going with food. So you can either have a buffet, plated, or family style for most venues. My biggest suggestion is that if your family is picky, mine's very picky, buffet is key. So like, my grandmother won't eat anything with sauce on it. She'll eat like chicken, and she'll eat chicken, no sauce, veggies, no spicy, and like salad, no dressing, like maybe ranch, just lettuce. You know, like she doesn't branch out. She's very picky. So is my sister. So for her, like, it's better if I have a buffet, and then she can pick and choose exactly what she wants and doesn't have to like only eat the sides from your plated meal. And typically when you do a plated meal, it's way more expensive. Like, not way more expensive, but it's usually more expensive. Always something to think about. If you're doing plated and you want to avoid the chaos of having people RSVP chicken, fish, or beef, check into a duet plate for your venue or your caterer. And this is a pro tip from my end. Duet plates are easier for venues to do than a choice. Because for choices, so if you had like a chicken or a fish and everyone had to get or had to pick, they always have to make more of both than you're registering for, because people ultimately will change their mind when they see Uncle Fred's steak come up. Oh, I had a fillet. I don't know what you mean I had fish. I definitely had a fillet. And the venue staff have to get that person a fillet. They can't argue with them. So it's cheaper for us on our end to do a duet plate. So if you're in between, try to negotiate. Can I get a duet plate for this price? Or like, can I get it a couple dollars off if I do like a chicken and not the fillet, but like beef tips or something? Like, venues will work with you usually, especially if you're like, well, I want to do this, so I'm going to walk. Like, most places will work with you because I don't want to lose your business. Don't tell my boss I said that. All right, so let's talk about food timelines. This is my favorite thing. So usually in the beginning of a cocktail hour or a reception, there is appetizers that go out, and normally they are out before anyone shows up. So as soon as the guests come into the venue or walk in from the ceremony, there's food out or food being passed. Always a good option because 6 or 5 straight hours of alcohol is usually a bad idea with no food. So giving people something to eat in the beginning is always key. I can do a whole video on like timelines and like what works best if you guys are interested, but I'll just do it if you guys are interested. If not, I can just make like a Google sheet and kind of like attach it. Just let me know in the comments. Always have hors d'oeuvres. I think that is super important. Some places will let you bring in stuff. Some places will make you go through them. Most hors d'oeuvres are relatively inexpensive. It's like a couple bucks a person, but it's in everyone's best interest to eat. Or if you don't do an hors d'oeuvre, talk to the venue about a late night snack. So to like soak up the alcohol at the end of the night, it's usually an hour or so before the bar ends, like pizza, coney dogs, nachos. Some places do like sandwiches, like it'll just depend on the venue, but usually pizza is like the easy one. To soak up the alcohol at the end so people aren't leaving the reception wasted. Always important. Let's talk about the bar. So if you are at a venue where you can bring your own alcohol and they just serve it for you, that's super important. It is super important to kind of like sample your guests / family / wedding party of like what they drink. So if you drink, for example, like my mom doesn't drink very much, but she only really drinks like black cherry Mike's Hard Lemonade, you know? So for that, we'd get a case of that. Or we'd get like a 6-pack just for her. But like my fiance, he drinks Crown, and his brothers drink Crown, and his dad drinks this one specific wine. So it's kind of like that. Like if you know certain important people only drink certain things, make sure to have that stuff. Plus it makes them feel like they're, you know, important. Or if you know someone doesn't drink, get a non-alcoholic beer, or make sure their favorite pop's back there, stuff like that. I'm not saying take specific drink orders from everyone because that can get crazy, but especially if it's a smaller reception and you know there's like 4 people that are allergic to gluten, get some cider, some hard cider back there, or a nice vodka or something that doesn't have gluten in it that they can drink. There's also a lot of information on like Pinterest and like other wedding websites like The Knot that have suggestions of like how many guests you have versus how much alcohol to buy, because that's something you don't want to run out of. And a lot of places, if it is BYOB, if you're bringing your own and they're just serving it, you get the extra afterwards, because that makes sense. So if you hired bartenders to serve your alcohol, like if you're having an outdoor wedding and you hired some bartenders to serve it, make sure they have insurance. The venues will have their own if you're at like a brick and mortar venue, but if you are just bringing somebody in, make sure they have liability insurance so that the fault isn't on you personally or whoever's property it is. If something happens, we're just gonna, in case something happens, just save yourself the headache and save your mother the worry. Like I said, most venues have their own insurance. I talked about this in the questions to ask your wedding venue. That's a different video that I did in this series, so I can link that one up above or down below. Let's go into cake. Let's talk about cake for a second. This is something I feel like a lot of people don't think about. So just recently, my own experience, it's July here in Michigan, and normally Michigan summers are not as hot as other places because it is the north of the United States. So it's been like 90 here. So it was 91 degrees a couple weekends ago when we had a wedding, and they had ice cream sandwiches for a cake. So they had ice cream sandwiches all stacked up, like tiered like a big cake. And that melted, in case you were wondering. And now, you know, as the the person that made the ice cream cake, they did their due diligence. We put we had dry ice, but dry ice only keeps ice cream so cold. So we built it and then we tore it down and put it in the freezer, and then we built it again, let the bride and groom cut it, and then we immediately took it. And in those like 5 minutes that it was out the second time, it melted a lot. So it was just like, think about the temperature of the time you're getting married. Like if you're getting married in July, don't use ice cream. Just do a regular cake or cupcakes or candy. Stuff that won't melt. Definitely another big issue is cake melting. Like the frosting will melt if you have buttercream frosting. So if you're in a venue that has no air conditioning, like a barn, or like I said, an outside wedding, like at a garden or anything like that, make sure there's some kind of fridge on site that you can have the cake put in until right before it needs to get cut. Because melting frosting, just from a baker's side, my mom bakes cakes for weddings, and on like a baker's side, that will cause the layers to slip and slide because frosting is made of like butter and sugar and that kind of stuff. So once it starts to melt, it gets really unstable. So yeah, with fridges, we want a fridge. Make sure that whoever's cutting your cake in the back, the caterer, or if it's someone from the wedding party, if you want to keep your topper, make sure they know in advance, so they can put it in the fridge with your name on it. Most bakers nowadays will rebake you a top layer of cake for your anniversary. They'll include that in the price. So ask your baker about that if you are not wanting to eat year-old frozen cake. And then I always recommend that brides provide a box for their topper, or like a Tupperware container or something, so that it's already taken care of. Because most venues don't have just extraneous boxes lying around. They'll break them down and recycle them as soon as they are like done with them. Like if they have like extra food boxes and stuff, they'll get rid of. The other thing to think about for cakes is a cupcake versus a cake. Another thing to think about is cupcakes versus a physical like big tiered cake. So just again, this is kind of like an insider tip. If you want cupcakes, have the person who's making your cupcakes, whether it's a bakery or like if you get them from Costco or whatever, don't tell them they're for your wedding. Just don't mention it. When they ask you, oh, what's the event for? Just say, I'm throwing a party. Because, I'm not specifically saying like Costco and that does this, but a lot of wedding venues or caterers and stuff, everything's marked up if it's wedding related. And if you look on the internet, you will notice that wedding invitations or bridal shower invitations, stuff like that, it's all marked up versus just like a blank invitation. So again, insider tip, cupcakes. If you're doing cupcakes, just don't tell them what kind of event you're planning. Tell them you're planning a party. You can still get them custom colored, or if you want them all white, or if you want them like a certain theme, they'll still do them to your specifications, and hopefully it'll cost less. And if you buy stuff like that in bulk, sometimes they'll give you a discount if they don't think it's for a wedding. So another plus to cupcakes is there's no cake cutting fee. It's all self-serve. Sometimes it might be like a setup fee, but usually you can come in and set up the cupcakes how you want, and then the venue doesn't have to do it, so they shouldn't have to charge you anything. And then lastly, this is the very end. We're coming to a close here, kids. Ask about food to go. So most venues won't let you take buffet food or plated food home because it's it's not a health violation, but it's against most places' policies, because if you take food home and you don't microwave it right away, or you don't keep it in safe conditions, and then you eat it, you can get really sick from like a foodborne illness, and then the venue or the caterer can get blamed. It's a whole thing. But sometimes places will make exceptions for the bride and groom Like they'll make them a couple of sandwiches, or they'll make them like a pizza to go, stuff like that. It kind of just depends. So if you ask your venue, they'll either tell you, yes, we can do that, or no, we can't. And if they can't, Jimmy John's always delivers, and you can pre-get those and put them in your hotel room. Same with pizza. You can schedule out pizza delivery, like, hey, I want pizza at our hotel by midnight. So, and you can also tell the front desk, like, hey, I'm ordering a pizza. Can you just leave it back here and I'll get it when I come in? Because I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need food. You're gonna be hungry. And then very last and probably the most important thing is eat. Eat before your ceremony. I talked about this in my last video too. Make sure to eat, because even if it's something light, even if it's like a protein shake, so you're not actually eating, eat something, because from 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. when you get up to start your hair and makeup and getting dressed and taking pictures and going to the ceremony and getting married and going to the reception, that's a big block of time. From 7 a.m. to 5 or 6 when you're going to eat dinner. And if you don't eat anything in between, you are going to pass out or be really hangry, and nobody wants that. Nobody at all. Not me, not you, not your mama, nobody. So definitely try to eat something, or just have like a couple of protein bars in your emergency kit. So if you get snacky or hungry, you can eat something that's not gonna make you bloat a lot and isn't going to don't eat Taco Bell. That's not what I'm saying, but something that you can eat fast and isn't gonna get all over you. That's what I'm saying. Alright, so that is everything regarding food and beverage. This has been Wedding 101. Again, I'm Courtney. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. Subscribe if you want more wedding tips and tricks. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Definitely check out that playlist up above or down in the description box if you are curious about the other topics I've talked about, and if there's anything you want to hear about, let me know down below in the comments, and I will do my best to address the questions down there. Or if you want a video about it, just let me know. Make a video about this, and I will record it for you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.